Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Secret Base figure preview video. Before we begin, I want to say a massive thank you to Ryan Kirkwood for going out in person and snapping these gorgeous high-res pictures. Show Ryan some love in the comments below, because without him, this series literally wouldn't be possible. Now, I'm getting my copies of Baylan and Shin from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research. Make sure you are comfortable before buying. I have popped the link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new figure preview video goes live on the channel. Look, it took Hot Toys a while to get here and finally decide to give us a Baylan and Shin. We are pretty far into the line at this point. But I am not complaining. In this instance, it is better late than never. These two characters were genuinely interesting in the Ahsoka series. And out of all of the other figures that Hot Toys have already announced in this line, I was hoping for these two the most. So let's start off with Baylan first. He, of course, in the Ahsoka series was played by the late great Ray Stevenson, who passed away in May of 2023. So I think that this was actually his final role. And what a way to commemorate him by finally giving him his first official Hot Toys figure. Now, he does come with a full array of gloved hands with these armor plates on the back, and he's got this massive signet ring. Weirdly enough, though, some of the hands appear slightly more glossy than others. I think that's probably down to Hot Toys just running out of Tamiya matte spray for this prototype. When we get the final version, all the hands are either going to be slightly shiny for that leather-like sheen, or they're going to be matte. It's a 50-50 chance, I guess. He does come with the USB-powered LED light-up lightsaber. Unfortunately. These base-lit hilts with the cables and then more cables that you have to manage are terrible. Fusion reactors actually use a proper LED blade for their lightsabers. So I'm hoping that they give us Baylan and Shin sabers, because these Hot Toys ones, they aren't going to cut the mustard for me personally. If you like the way they look, perfectly fine. At least it looks like they have finally updated the swooshing lightsaber blade effect. So it's got a straight edge and a curved trailing edge, where it is more translucent at the back, and then the blade itself is tinted orange rather than red. The display base, just your typical boring Hot Toys rectangular style Star Wars base. His boots are a split cut boot design, and there is no pleather used here. This is all sculpted plastic. Thank goodness. I think they look great. They're weathered, they're dirty, they're grimy, and I dig the pop of this bluish, greenish teal color. Just lightly dry brushed on the surface, adding a ton more visual interest. It highlights the texture that's already been sculpted in, but just brings a nice pop of color, an unexpected pop of color, I might add. So for articulation, split cut boot design, that's the best way to go in my opinion. All of his robes are fabric, of course, and the edges are slightly tattered on some of them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're also wired. I mean, we can definitely tell based off this image that his cloak is wired, because they've done a pretty rough job of posing it. It does look like that mottled, textured, almost bathrobe material that we're used to seeing from Jedi and Sith robes. So it's going to drape well, and now with the addition of wires, we can get dynamic with it for posing. There's a little metal hook on his belts, and yes, the belts do look like they're made of pleather. If that is the case, there is no need to use pleather for belts, Hot Toys. We have seen your masterful sculpting. You have tricked people, including me, into thinking that plastic is genuinely leather. I mean, the gloves alone on this figure look like real leather. Same thing with that chest plate. The detail is incredible. So why are you still using pleather? If 3-0 can sculpt belts for their Game of Thrones figures to look like leather but be just rubbery plastic, you sure as shit can as well. Ditch the pleather, it's not necessary, You are downplaying your sculpting skills by just reverting back to the lazy method of using some cheap, shitty pleather, which will deteriorate over time. Please let that not be the case. We'll just have to wait and see when these figures eventually release, because spoiler alert, Shin also has some pleather elements that we will discuss. His gauntlets are a split cut design, that's to be expected, so that we can move his hand on the wrist peg. And they've added that bluish greenish tint as a wash in the crevices. It comes across as though it's oxidization. You know how the Statue of Liberty was originally copper and now she's this green color? Which is the vibe I get from Baylan's armor. It comes across as though it is ancient and it's been used by multiple generations of Jedi or Sith or whatever the hell Baylan was supposed to be. He has this very medieval feel about him. He's also got this massive chonky body. I wouldn't be surprised if this was an all-new body specific to Baylan. Now we can discuss the best part about this figure. The head sculpt. It is absolutely perfect. In my opinion, I can see the likeness to Ray Stevenson with the big bushy beard from every angle. I mean, the furrowed brow, the crow's feet, the wrinkling, the subtle bagginess underneath his eyes, and the fact that he has moving eyes. Well done. Seriously, hats off to you, Hot Toys. This is just a classy looking head sculpt. As long as they're able to get close to the prototype level of detail with the final product, I reckon that we're going to be very satisfied with this release. And I don't think they're going to stuff it up. They know full well how important this character is. It's Ray Stevenson's last performance, and he had a pretty significant role in Ahsoka. So mark my words, Hot Toys are not going to let us down when it comes to Baylan Skoll. At least, I don't think they're going to. There's still a minute chance. Overall, I am all in on Baylan and Shin, and we've not even gotten to Shin yet. But now that we have Marok, the three together makes so much more sense. Okay, I alluded to it, now let's move on to Shin Hati. She is a lot brighter compared to Baylan. Her robes read more Jedi than Sith. But I think that was intentional, because they're not Sith, and they wanted to throw us off at the start of the series when we saw them board that ship. We saw one person wearing the dark robes, but that's okay. He's offset by the smaller character wearing the lighter robes. They're totally Jedi. Obviously, that wasn't the case. This pose looks a little bit sus to me. That arm being only bent at 90 degrees reads as though Shin has single bend elbows. Then again, some of the promo pics made it look like she doesn't. Hot Toys, don't fuck around with us. You all know that lightsaber wielding characters need to have double bend elbows. Don't do this to us again. It's double bend elbows or bust. She does come with a full array of hands, there's plenty of leather grain texture on the surface, and I dig the array of gestures, including this finger gun pointing hand. It's interesting, I like to see it. She does come with multiple other accessories that Baylan doesn't, that we'll get to in just a second. One of them is this little circle thing. She also has the USB-powered LED light-up lightsaber with the base slit hilt. Still not a fan of the way they do this. It might be a battle that I never win. I am willing to die on this hill, Hot Toys, because these glorified, shrunk-down 1/6 scale orange flashlights aren't representative of what we see from lightsabers on screen. Come on, Hot Toys. I'm hard on you because I know you can do better. Now, she does come with this probe droid of sorts, with these little sticky-outy antennas that you will have to watch out for because they're made of plastic, and an orange translucent eyepiece around the front, or a camera lens. There is some speckling of dirt and grime on the surface, and it comes with its own display base. Speaking of display bases, Shin's matches Baylan's, insofar as it's boring, but it gets the job done. The nameplate simply says Star Wars and Shin Hati. The boots are a split-cut boot design, and I initially thought that these were made of pleather. The wrinkling, The leather grain looks so natural and so believable that I was convinced. Then I looked closer, and the sheen is the only thing that gives it away that these are not made of pleather or leather, they're sculpted plastic. If it wasn't for the sheen, if they'd hit that with a bit of a dull coat, then these things would be 100% convincing. So this is Hot Toys proving once again that their sculpting chops are more than good enough to fool us collectors into believing that something is made out of material that it simply isn't. So the pleather belt has no reason for being here. Sculpt the belts out of plastic, we know you can do it. Shin's robes are completely disheveled, by the way. There's dirt and grime everywhere, we've got sections that are tattered and torn, and areas where it looks like the surface layer has been scratched away and you can see the other layers underneath it. There are some armor plates on her hips, but she's not as armored up as Baylan is. She is mostly covered in fabric, unlike Baylan, who has that chonky upper torso armor, so I reckon Shin's articulation is going to be better than Baylan's. And that checks out, because her fighting style is a lot more nimble and agile as compared to Baylan's, where he's more of a stoic knight, so he wouldn't need as much range of motion because he's got more power and defensive capabilities. At least that's how I see it. I could be completely wrong on that. There is some more armor on her shoulder and on the outside of her bicep. Then for the black part of the outfit, it does have this quilted look about it. It's all fabric, no need to worry about creasing. We can pose the shit out of Shin and we won't have to worry about any damage to the costume. See what I mean though about that elbow? Does that not look like a single bend to you? It does to me. I'm hoping that it's not the case. I've said that I'm hoping multiple times already, but seriously, I don't want this to be a single bend situation. If this is the make or break moment for this figure, if we have to let Hot Toys know right now before they go into production on her that they need to give us double bend elbows, weigh in the comments down below, because apparently people at Hot Toys do actually watch these videos. I went to Secret Base myself, and the employees were like, yeah dude, we love watching your figure preview videos. But you can't film anything in the store, which was a bit strange. Nevertheless, I digress. Shin's head sculpt is also incredible. It's not quite as good as Baylan's for me. Still see the likeness, and this head sculpt has moving eyes, plus the little dangly strands of hair help sell the fact that she's got this messy, almost bowl cut looking fringe. The likeness just isn't 100%. From certain angles, I can see it. And she's got this intensity to the expression. When you tilt those eyes up ever so slightly more than they are here on display, and you tilt her head sculpt forward, she's going to look very mean and menacing, which is what I personally want out of my Shin. She almost came across as though she was slightly deranged in the Ahsoka series. Am I the only one that picked up that vibe from Shin? Let me know, because that's how I'm going to have her displayed. Lightsaber ignited, eyes looking fierce as hell, head sculpt tilted forward in a dynamic pose. Maybe even with the new swooshing lightsaber blade effect. I haven't used them with any of the other figures that have come with them just because they weren't convincing at all. They were a weird shape. Now that they've fixed them, I can see myself using them. Oh, and Shin's blades are shorter than Baylan's. Now, I'm getting my copies of Shin and Baylan from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research. Make sure you are comfortable before buying. I have popped the link to their website in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.